All right, folks, it is Monday night and it is time for a Q&A. And as always, if you're new here, we spend the next hour answering all of your drone questions. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We have Jason in the back of the room over there filtering through all the questions. We have Ben behind the controls of the camera who's going to give us all of the different questions, put them on the screen, blah, 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 blah. All right. Well, it started snowing here in Prescott today. This is the first snow of the season. Not unusual for us to get snow. I know people think Arizona is all palm trees and cactus and all of that, but it really isn't. But it's funny that for a while, Florida had more snow than we did. So congratulations. We finally I don't think we beat Florida, actually. We got a little bit of snow, but it's not the 6 inches that I saw in a couple of places in Florida a couple of weeks ago. So anyways, let's say hi to a few people. Scott was number one today in the comments. Big Papa Food Review, good to see you again, my friend. Eric Ruffschneider is here. Curtis Warren, Hike and Fly, I'm Forever Grateful. Sergio de la Garza, Joe Burns, None Your Business. Sparky, our friend Sparky is here. What's up, Sparky? Thorough Inspired, that I missed being the first to comment for the first time in a long time. Always the first person here. After As Media, James, our good friend James from the community. I say James, he's one of our students. He's very active in the community, a source of knowledge. We also have Kenneth Noisewater, an OK Boomer, retired fire chief. Arnaud is here. We have Danny Moosebrugger, Super 8mm 1. Cover and Tack. We have Jillian, our own Jillian from the community. What's up, Jillian? Rick Hone is here. Old Deadeye, Tim Voice, First Medic. A lot of folks. Well, welcome to the party. Like I said, it's Monday, and we're going to answer all your questions. I'm going to bring the brightness up a little bit here, and that's why. Did you know you can tap 3 times on your button up here, and it makes the screen darker? I think I set it up that way, but sometimes I forget because I do that at night, so it's not super bright, and then I forget. Anyways, we got a cool package in the mail today, but because Ethan took the day off, we decided not to open it. But we have a new tool for the studio for recording, for doing cool camera angles. So maybe next week we'll have a cool camera angle. We'll see. And then I'm expecting some good news this week from the building. We'll see. I'm hopeful. I was down last week. I'm hopeful this week, so let's see where this goes. All right, let's get started. I know people yell at me sometimes because I talk too much before I answer questions.
You still look a little blue.
I still look a little blue? Yeah, that's my shirt.
Oh, yeah.
It's seasonal. The shirt is seasonal. It's too cold in here not to have it. And plus, sometimes we turn off the AC or the heat to record because it's a little bit noisy, and then we forget to turn it back on. So it ends up being 60 degrees in here, which is not fun. Okay, Scott says, registered my drone 1/15/2025 and shows on the FAA Drone Zone recreational dashboard, but on the FAA UAS Declaration of Compliance page, it's not there. No remote ID tracking. Have I missed a step or something? Okay. So, a little confusion, Scott. The Declaration of Compliance page for the FAA is the page where the FAA says that a drone has remote ID or doesn't based on the model number, based on the serial number of the drone. So, your registration would not show up in there. When you register the drone, you can tell it that it has remote ID, but that's 2 different things. So, yeah, your registration number would not show up on the Declaration of Compliance page. That's specifically for the manufacturer of that drone and to basically tell you that this drone has been approved for remote ID or for flying over people in some cases. None Your Business says, hey Greg, I missed the last 2. Looking to renew business insurance. Can you make any recommendations? Yeah, I would shop around. There's a variety of aviation insurance companies. I don't know that I can recommend any of them. Our insurance is a little bit different. It's a little bit weird, but look at I never remember their name. I don't know why. This one company, I can never remember their name. Skywatch. I would look at Skywatch. It's one of the popular one, but yeah. Another question from None New Business says, not a political debate, but do you see any future changes with FAA UAS regulation in the current presidency? Yeah, we can talk about politics without making it political. How about that? I think there is a long-term change right now, which is the freeze on any new proposed regulation until somebody, we talked about this in news updates, until somebody that has been appointed by the new president gets to review that proposed regulation. So, for example, we have an NPRM right now, which is supposed to come out for Part 108. So that's likely going to be delayed until we have a new FAA administrator and he or she can review it and go. And by the way, I do want to mention this because I find it mind-blowing. But on News Update on Friday, I referred to President Trump, the new president, as the new president. And there were two comments of people that apparently were shocked, were outraged, offended by the fact that I referred to him as the new president. So I'm very confused because it's a statement of facts. I don't know why you think that this was inappropriate, but he is the new president. I refer to him as the new president. I'll continue for probably another 6 months until he's fully established. But yeah, he's the new president. That's kind of how it is. And if I didn't say President Trump and it offended you, then I'm not sorry. Retired Fire Chief says, good evening. I got a waiver to fly in a zero grid. Awesome. I put in for half a mile, but the FAA changed it to 0.01. That equals to 5-foot radius. Is there a way to question or appeal that? Yeah, I would probably reply to their approval and see what they did. 0.01 mile. I don't think 0.01 mile is 5-foot radius. We have to do the math somewhere back there, but it's 100th of a mile. It's going to be bigger than that, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Jason or someone back there can do the math on what 0.5 foot, 0.01. See, if we were using the metric system, this wouldn't be an issue. You knew that was coming. Yeah, 0.01 mile. I don't know what that equates in feet, but yeah. Anyways, I think it's a little bit more than 5 feet, but it still is a pretty short distance. So it's worth replying to the email and talking to them. Travis says, what evidence is there that backs up the claim that DJI and Autel are a risk to national security? Because the claims have been made, but no evidence has been produced. Can file a freedom request for it. No, I don't think there's a freedom request to be filed. So I'll give you the what we've been told by some lobbying organizations out there is that the information is top secret and you need a clearance to have access to it, which I think is complete BS. But the funny thing about this is supposedly all this time there's been proof that there is a national security issue with Autel and DJI. But nobody can produce it. We're being told that it's top secret, that you're too stupid, that you can't see it. And then on top of that, with the latest NDAA rule that came out, now they have 1 year to take apart DJI drones and find that there is a national security issue. So which one is it? Do we have it, or do we need to keep digging until we find one that is appropriate? So yeah, it's all BS, in my opinion. But allegedly, whatever people say these days, allegedly it's all BS. There you go. Jillian says, is that new merch? Yeah, it is new merch. It's been for a while. I've been testing it. I tested it last winter, at the end of last winter. I've had it for a while. There's a little white spot somewhere up here. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it got bleached or something, but I didn't like the cut necessarily of this thing. So we never really went forward with it. I don't know. It's not, I'm pretty picky about the cut of my stuff. It's not very fitting. It's kind of like loose right here, but it's nice and warm. So I kind of enjoy it. But yeah, so I don't know that this one is gonna see the light of day, but it is embroidered. It's really nice. If people like it, maybe we'll put it out, but I think I want to find a different design to put it in. I want to go back to the question. It's about 50 feet. Okay, so not 5 feet, 50 feet. 50 feet is not much in that area. So yeah, retired fire chief, I would definitely talk to them and see if they can extend it. Maybe they meant 0.1 instead of 0.01. But yeah. Okay. Phew. Next. Eric says H.264 or H.265 on the Mavic 3. If you have a good enough computer, the big question is, can you really see a difference in quality between the two codec? No, I mean, I don't know that you can see a difference. You'll see a difference in the amount of space that it takes. So H.265 was designed to have better compression ratio. I think it's twice as much compression ratio for the same quality. So I don't think you'll necessarily see a difference in quality, but you'll see a difference in file size. But as you said, because it's a compression, the image gets compressed on your SD card when the drone captures the footage. When you edit it, it needs to be decompressed by your software, or uncompressed, I should say, by your software. And that takes a little bit more oomph from your computer, a little bit more memory and a little bit more power to do that. So if you have a computer that's good enough, these days, most recent computers, I would say if you bought a computer within the last 3 or 4 years, you more than likely can deal with H.265. I know there's a version of Windows. I want to say Windows 11. I'm not a Windows user, but I want to say Windows 11, I think, needs additional codec to be installed on there. If you want to not mess with this, Mac doesn't need any of that stuff. Any Mac computer that you buy today or a few years ago is going to be able to do all of that natively. So, okay. Next, I'm a drone unit lead for our sheriff's office. Awesome. Have been flying for 12 years plus. Do you think it will be easier to fly BVLOS without spending thousands and thousands? Yeah, I think this is what Part 108 is kind of designed to be in the future. So obviously, I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago that it might be delayed, but if we... If it goes forward, or when it goes forward, I don't think it's been canceled. When it goes forward, then you will more than likely have more access to BVLOS with specific equipment, I think. But yeah. Does the Aloft app connects to the Potensic Atom drones? I actually don't know, Steve. But there's one easy way to check. It might. I don't know if there is a list of compatible devices on their website, but that's where I would look. Ethan said post-flight is live. Bunny crashed while uploading. Oh, that's... I don't know if I was supposed to say that out loud, but still get it done. So there you go. That's for Jillian, I think. Post-flight, for those of you that are not familiar, is our extended news update, we call it. It's posted on the premium community. And we kind talk at length about the subjects that we talked about in news updates and give a little bit more opinion. This week we talked about some good topics, and it is live now in the community, in the paid community. So, Hike and Fly says, you guys have or know anywhere I can find ND1000 and ND2000 for the Air 3? I can't seem to find it anywhere. We did a review of a bunch of sets. I don't remember which one it was, but we had a pretty high-end ND filter, a pretty dark ND filter when we did that review. So if you go on our channel and take a look and search for Air 3 filters, you should be able to find a review, and we kind of explain what those are. I want to say it was, no, I'm actually not even going to say it because I don't think that's correct. But there's one kit that we reviewed, that we received, that had a very high number. The FA number and my phone number is what I'm supposed to mark my drone with, correct. So the FA number is your registration number. It starts with FA3 and then a bunch of digits and numbers and letters after that. That's what you need to put on your drone. There's no need to put your phone number, although some people do in case it gets lost. We do offer those free stickers to folks, and then it has their phone number on it. Sparky says, I have a 24-foot fully motorized jib. I'll sell you. Damn, Sparky, why didn't you speak up before? We bought ours already. 24 foot. What did we get? A 10, 12 footer? 24.
We'll take it.
24 foot is huge. Well, message me. Maybe we can return this one and see if the difference in price is not too much. Johan, another Johan, that's the first Johan I see other than our Johan, says, Johan Williams says, do temporary flight restrictions apply to remote model aircraft flyers too? Yes, they do. We recently had one due to the president's visit, but the Flyers Park didn't seem to care. Yeah, nah, I don't recommend that. This is a good way to get a visit from Secret Service. Yes, temporary flight restrictions do apply to any aircraft that flies in the air of any weight. So if you go back to that park, I would tell them that not a good idea to fly during that time, especially right now with all the stuff that's been going on with drones and everywhere. I'm actually surprised that if they were flying that nobody from Secret Service showed up, because they will do that. What kind of computer editing software do you recommend? I mean, my go-to right now for editing, I would say, is one of two computers. It's a Mac Studio, which is a mini but a little bit more beefed up. This is what we use in our office, or one of the new Mini from Apple that has, and this is not the Mavic Mini. This is not the DJI Mini. This is the Apple Mini with the specs upped a little bit, and yeah, these computers will do awesome. As far as editing software, you have a choice between Final Cut Pro X, which is what we use, Final Cut Pro 10. You have DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere. It depends on how you want to use it. Premiere, the downside is that it's a monthly subscription. It's at least $25 a month. If you want more Adobe stuff, it's $50 a month. There's only really two payment plans these days. Or you can do Final Cut as a one-time fee. I think it's $200 or $299, maybe $300. And then the last one is DaVinci Resolve. Part of it is free, and then you can get upgrades as well. So pick one, learn it, and then basically just use it. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either of those. Can you fly the same drone for both commercial and recreational use? Yes. The key here is that the drone must be registered under Part 107 with the FAA, and then you put that registration number on there, and then you're good to fly. So, but yeah, you can use either or. I entered the remote ID module serial number upon registration. How else do I become compliant? That's it. That's what you do. That's really it. So you're flying, Scott, if I remember, you're flying recreationally. So in your inventory, you're going to put the remote ID serial number in the inventory, and then put that module on the drone when you fly. None Your Business says, I always appreciate your expertise, so thanks. When are you going to get your helicopter license? That is a solid never. I will not fly helicopters. Nothing against helicopters. I just think they're too dangerous. And no, I really don't have any interest in flying helicopters.
Would you do it for Crumble?
I would not do it for Crumble. No, I really, it's funny. I just have no interest in flying helicopters. Brendan says, any recommendations when the Mini 4 Pro with RC2 is sold out everywhere in the United States, and DJI is claiming they are having issues with custom? They are having issues with custom. There's no doubt there. Find one used. There might be one available for sale, I'm sure, somewhere. That would be my recommendation at the moment. Vic says, don't you already have one? I don't know. I don't know what part of the conversation. Oh, the jib. I think I might be talking about the jib. But yes, the jib just got here today. That's what I was talking about earlier. Is there a way you can make negative altitude when creating waypoints? I often fly from ridges down into gullies doing pest control operation. I don't think it is possible unless you do them manually where you fly and record the waypoint and fly and record the waypoint when you're on site. Otherwise, I don't think it's possible. Jason Johnston says, can I do pro bono aerial photo till I get out of flight school and be able to charge? I mean, yeah, but just keep in mind that this still requires Part 107. Whether you're charging money or not is not the issue. It's the type of operation that you do, if that makes sense. Vic says, I had a meeting with Fetterman staff about the DJI custom issue. He's going to look into it. It was the first he heard. Interesting. I know we have additional information on this that I can't really mention yet, but there is definitely something going on with customs and some usual suspects that are involved, more than likely, allegedly. Is trust required for RC or drone pilots at a FRIA location? Yep. Trust is... So here's the deal with FRIAs. The only thing that FRIAs give you is the ability to fly there without remote ID, period. All the other rules have to be followed. Altitude restrictions, visual line of sight, all of these things still have to be followed, including requiring trust. So yes, you still have to do trust. John Jackson says, does the DJI GeoZone realignment mean that we don't have to submit unlock requests on DJI FlySafe website anymore? Yes, absolutely, John. That's exactly what it means. So instead of getting an unlock now, what you'll do is when you get to an area that previously required unlocking, now it's just a checkbox that basically says, I take full responsibility for this, check, and then go. And yeah, click on the link right here. No, just kidding. We can put the link after we go live. But yes, we do have a video. If you go to our channel, it's one of the, not the latest, it's like 3 videos ago we posted that, where we talk about the new GeoZone. So go take a look. Not right now, don't leave. Airhead Bits says, I registered 2 drone tag BS remote ID modules, but the FAA said to use the modules remote ID for the drone serial number. So I canceled the registration of the modules. The Mavic Pro and the Mini 2 have it. Ooh, I'm not sure if I follow the question here, but the Mavic Pro, the original Mavic Pro and the Mini 2 are not remote ID compliant natively. So it means that you need to put a module on top of them. So when you register these drones with the FAA, you need to add, to tell it that it's remote ID compliant, you need to add the remote ID module information in the registration location. I hope this makes sense. My question is, my drone is a Mavic 3 Pro. Without a parachute, I can't fly with Part 107. Not correct. So you can absolutely fly the Mavic 3 Pro without a parachute in the United States. The only thing that you cannot do is fly over people. So I think that might be where the confusion is. The Mavic 3 Pro would require a parachute and a waiver in order to be flown over people. So, but no, otherwise, no flying over people, no flying over people in moving vehicles. And then, yeah, you're good to go without a parachute. Adarsh says, I'm a private pilot. I have filled out the IACRA form and completed the FAA wings for Part 107. It is now telling me to pick a DPE or fly instructor. Can you do it with any DPE or CFI? Yes. I don't think DPEs are going to sign it. They're too busy doing other things. But your fly instructor, if you're still doing flight training, talk to your CFI. All of they need to do is log into IACRA, verify your identification, and that's all they have to do, and then sign it as a recommending instructor. So, Bob Casey Ariel says, do you think the FAA can make Lance approval an easier process? I don't know how much easier they can make it. It's pretty straightforward right now. I can get Lance approval in probably less than a minute now when I'm on location. So, Bob, I don't know that we can make it easier. That's if you fly below the grid, that is, or at the grid number, but no higher. The one way would be if it was integrated into your actual drone app. So if you went there and DJI said, instead of saying check the box right here, if they said, do you want to get slice approval, and then they submit it, maybe our friends at Aloft can work with DJI to get Aloft approval straight into the app. That would be awesome. But yeah. John Jackson says, drone show question, as long as 2 drones aren't doing OOP, operation over people, operation over a moving vehicle, can they do aerial jousting, attempting to knock one out of the sky, as long as no risk to people or property according to regulation? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Actually, if you go to Flight Fest, put on by our friends at Flight Test, there's a lot of that. There's combat, they call it combat, where they have all of these airplanes in the air at the same time for like 5 minutes or whatever it is, and then everybody's trying to knock everybody out of the sky. Just kind of really interesting. It puts it. The one thing that it did to me when we went there is that it puts the whole thing into perspective, where we have all these people that are trying to hit each other into this confined environment, and they're not able to. And so it puts into perspective the collision, the risk of collision between drone and drone is extremely low, because they're just such small devices. Now, not the same with airplane and drones, but with drone and drone, it just puts it in perspective. Eric says, I got the Dummy of the Day award. Ah, interesting. I did my recurrent certification this weekend. Accidentally did the part 61. This and the last recurrent I did seems like the exact same material. Do I need to redo it? In theory, yes, you do need to redo it, because it's regulatory in nature. So yes, unfortunately you do. Stephen Belt says, I have my Part 107. I want to fly real airplanes. Do you think it's possible to become a commercial pilot in a 3-year time frame? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not a problem. I became a commercial pilot in a little less than 2 years. And so, yeah, you can absolutely do it in 3 years. Now, I did that every day, but if you do it, part-time, you can still do that. EFWAZ says, can I fly an over 250 gram drone as recreational use, registered with the FAA, but with no Part 107? Yes. Yep. As long as you have trust, as long as you follow CBO guidelines, and as long as you follow all the other rules, the 7 or 8 other rules that there are, no flying over 400 feet, getting approval when you fly in controlled airspace, all of that stuff. If you follow that, then yeah, you're good to go. Vic says, yep, I read that already. Jason says, how hard is it to get a helicopter pilot license? I mean, it's like an airplane private pilot license, except you're flying a different aircraft, and it's a lot more expensive. Helicopter flying usually is about 3 times more expensive than airplane flying, so just be ready for the cost. What will be the protocol for acquiring Part 108 license? Nobody knows yet. The notice of proposed rulemaking hasn't been out, and the final ruling hasn't been out either, so nobody really knows what the process is going to be. We can elaborate on what we think is going to happen, but I don't think anybody has a good idea. Is iMovie on a MacBook Pro good enough to edit drone footage? Is the quality good for client work? I mean, iMovie is a good start. I think eventually you'll want to graduate to Final Cut. It's a fairly easy transition once you understand iMovie to move to Final Cut. But I mean, the quality really depends on what you do. If you're doing mostly cuts of footage with very simple transition, like a fade transition for your client, and it doesn't really require anything too fancy, then yeah, sure enough, it is good enough to do that. Now, if you want to add more crazy text and tracking and a little bit more color grading and all of these things, then I think you're going to find limitations. But yeah. Do you think there will be tariff on DJI drones that are sent from the US to them for repair? I'm pretty sure DJI is doing a lot of the repairs in the United States, but I may be wrong. I don't know how tariffs work in this case. It's a good question. I'm not sure. Maximus Photography says, do you know if DJI turn off GeoZone in other countries or only in the US? The press release mentioned that they had turned off the GeoZone or they had simplified the GeoZone. Remember, they didn't turn it off. They just simplified it in Europe a couple of months ago before they did it in the United States. They did it in Europe to make sure that it was working as planned before they did it in the US. So yes. But Canada is still the same as it was before. So I know we have people watching from Canada, and some people have asked, as seen in the comments underneath the video. So the answer is Canada is still as it was before, no simplification. As a Part 107 pilot wanting to build my own drone, once constructed and intending to use airspace to flight proof, what is the correct designation, registration, and other should I use? If you build your own drone, you would register the drone with the FAA. You can put a module on top of it to comply with remote ID. Although, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. And then get airspace approval if you're flying in airspace that requires authorization. Once you build it and you have it registered and you have remote ID, it really behaves. I mean, as far as the regulation is concerned, it is a drone. It is just a drone, like a DJI drone would be. How accurate is the air control software? According to the software, it shows 0 AGL on the other side of the street and 200 AGL on my side. I would err on the side of caution, but I'm wondering. I don't know the accuracy level of the air control app, but my guess is that it's accurate within maybe a dozen feet or so. I would definitely err on the side of caution if you're on the zero grid, but find out why you have a zero grid nearby. Oh, excuse me. All right. It's not you guys that are boring. It's just that it's the end of the day. First Medic says, for recreational flying, can't multiple drones be registered with the same remote ID module? Yes, that is correct. So for recreational flying, you get one registration number that you can apply on all of your drones, and the remote ID module, it gets added to your inventory as a remote ID module, and then you can use that remote ID module on every single drone that you want. Super 8 Mil says, do Freyas require lens? They do if you are flying in an area that requires lens. So I know it sounds kind of dumb as an answer, but yeah, if you need lens without a Freya, you need lens with a Freya. Let's put it this way.
What about Frias?
No, I'm trying to get Vic to say something in the comments, so I'm going to call it Freyas. It's like GIF, Ben. It's the I in Freya is identification, so Freya is an identification. I know it gets Vic all riled up because he wants me to say Freya. Next. All right. Can I show up to an open air assembly and fly over it with a sub 250 gram drones with remote ID flying under Part 107? You can only, Peter, you can only if it has prop guards or if it has a way to prevent laceration. But prop guards is the current method. So sub 250 with prop guards, it still needs to be sub 250 with remote ID, needs to be all of that equipment needs to be sub 250, and you need to be flying under Part 107, and then you can fly over people. Keep in mind, if you're going to do that over an open air assembly, I recommend that you have insurance just for liability purposes. All I'm going to say. Sparky says, can you all pause for about 6 minutes while I make my dinner? Your burrito in the microwave takes a lot less than 6 minutes, so I'll give you 2 minutes. Adarsh says, my instructor tells me he does not know how to do the IACRA for Part 107 to Part 61 pilots. How do you do it? There is a section on the FAA website that shows how to do it. I don't have the direct link, but maybe Jason can put the link. It's very simple. He has to go as a recommending instructor, logs in as a recommending instructor, pulls out your application, finds it, signs it, and that's really it. He has to put your driver's license information in it and sign, and that's it, really. That's literally all there is. You know how I can map with my EXO Mini Pro drone? Tough one. Don't know that the drone is necessarily designed to do this, although you can take pictures. So here's the thing with mapping. You can take pictures manually with any drone. I mean, you can do it with a cell phone if you want. Technically, you just need to have the right overlap and you need to have the right angle so it doesn't look like crap when you process the data. But you can do it with any drone and then process the data using a mapping software. So yeah, you can do it with that. The advantage of some drones is that you can create a pattern, a grid pattern or a lawnmower pattern where it's a lot easier and it takes a picture every so often. So it creates a much better set of images that you can overlap. But otherwise, like I said, you can do it with any drones. Next, with a remote ID module on the DJI Flip, is there a waiver that allows you flying over people? Yes, James, absolutely. So the FAA says that if the drone is over 250 grams, but less than 400 grams, which the Flip with the module would qualify for that, then you can request a waiver to fly over people. And the only thing that you will need is a visual observer, a light also on top of the drone that's visible from 3 statute miles, and then obviously the prop guards, which are included with the Flip. And then that's it. So make sure you give them a good narrative of how you're going to operate in that area, and then they'll let you fly. Bill Purdy says scored 97% on the FAA last week after your course. Congrats, Bill. That's awesome. 97 is an amazing score. Missed 2 questions. Really cool. Mark says Mark H. Is that Mark H from Severance? Oh, Mark S. You know, every time he says that, I keep hearing Marquez from MKBHD. That's right, Mark H. I'm sorry, different Mark. If you watch Severance, you'll know what I'm talking about. When getting lens approval to fly in zero grid, you still have to apply for FAA approval at least 72 hours in advance. No. Oh, in zero grid. When getting approval to fly in zero grid, yes. Yes, I would recommend that you do it several days in advance. The FAA, I think, recommends 72 hours in advance. And and don't request to fly at 400 feet. They're not going to give you that. But, 50 to 100 feet, more than likely, you'll be able to do that. Can recreational drone pilots use remote ID too? Not only they can, they have to. So if your drone is over 250 grams, then you have to have remote ID on the drone to fly it recreationally. And it has to be registered. Anyone having trouble with the latest DJI update? I have not seen anyone. We updated quite a few of our drones. What is Part 108? So Part 108 is a long distant idea at the moment. It's what we believe is going to be the new set of regulation that the FAA is coming up with for drones. It is designed to allegedly, fly beyond visual line of sight more easily. So at the moment, it's an idea. It's supposed to turn the FAA is supposed to turn that idea into a set of regulation. At first, it's going to be what's called a Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, an NPRM, where you and everybody else will be able to leave a comment. And then once you leave a comment, then once the comment period is over, the FAA will come up with final ruling. It can take 6 months, a year, 2 years. It depends on how complex this thing is. And then we'll have final ruling on Part 108. So my guess, just a guess, is that we might see final ruling before the end of this year, unless the FAA is really motivated. But we haven't even seen an NPR, a Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, just yet. So Carl says, here's a curveball. I know the FAA can't control indoor space. What about multi-level parking garage? There are no walls or roof. No roof means the FAA still controls it. I know it sounds dumb, but yep. Although you could probably argue in court that it's not navigable airspace, which is what the actual term is, but yeah. Anthony from Atort says, I have a Ruco remote ID for my Neo. That module is 13.5 grams. Where should I place it not to block the GPS module? Ooh, I don't remember where the GPS module is on that, but I would put it on top of the battery compartment pretty much always because, well, the Neo, I would put it on top of the battery. I'm sorry. There's no compartment. It's just the battery. I would put it on top of the battery. I would put a little Velcro on every single one of your batteries and then put the module on top of that. Kamipe says, can training in pilot on other in country? Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm not sure. I'm going to skip that one. Leah says, is DJI banned in the United States? No, it is not. There is a proposed ban. There's a couple proposed bans, but nothing right now. Sparky says something that I will not repeat. Most of the time, whatever Sparky says is something that you should not repeat.
Do you want me to ban him? Should
we ban him? Can you give him a 6 minute, what did he request? An 8 minute ban? 6 minute ban.
Done.
Is Scott back there? Okay. All right. Eagle Lens says, I have a bunch of RC airplanes I fly on FRIAs and then also a module registered on Trust. If I intend to fly one of those RC airplanes, I need a module specific to that RC aircraft for Part 107. Is that correct? Yes. Little clarification here. Okay. Let me clarify a few things. So Trust is not the place where you register the drone. I know it's minor, but you register the drone on the drone zone. That's where the FAA has it. Trust is the certificate that you have to take. But if you fly your RC under Part 107 out of FRIA, you do not need to have a module. So out of FRIA, you don't need remote ID regardless of what rules you follow, Part 107 or recreational. If you fly your RC outside of a FRIA under Part 107, then you will need to have remote ID regardless of the weight of the aircraft. If you fly your RC outside of a FRIA recreationally and the drone is over 250 grams, then you also need to have remote ID. I'm trying to cover all of the different possible scenarios here to help. Oh, I see Sparky's been banned. Good. Eagle Lens says, no, I just read that. Peter says, can insurance cover people that could potentially sue you? That's usually what insurance is for, depending on the type of insurance that you get. But if you get liability insurance, that would be covered. Do we have any, by the way, and I'm going to say this as kind of a statement for effect. I personally would not fly over a large group of people, what the FAA considers a open air assembly. Thank you, brain farts. So I would not fly over an open air assembly personally with a Category 1 drone or Category 2 or Category 3, although there are restrictions there. But I would not fly over open air assembly unless I had at least a $2 or $5 million insurance policy. That's just personal. I would never fly over an open air assembly without insurance. The risks are far too high. If you even hit one person, you're done. You're done. Even if you have an LLC, I would still be very careful. It's like I said, it's a statement for effect. It's a wild statement probably to some, but yeah, Do we have any update on parachute for the operating over people requirement? I have a DJI Air 3 and don't want to buy a Mini 4 Pro, which is pretty overlap with the Air 3 just for the OOP waiver. So here's the kicker. To fly an Air 3 over people with a waiver, you would need to have a parachute. I'm just kind of explaining the question here. And as such, you need a parachute that is ASTM approved. As far as I know, there is no Air 3 parachute that is ASTM approved. So it's basically a no-go. You cannot operate over people with an Air 3 because of that. So it would be probably cheaper anyway to buy a Mini 4 Pro and get the waiver. Because, well, first off, that's your only avenue right now. But second, it's going to be cheaper than an ASTM approved parachute if ever there is one that comes out for the Air 3. Yep. Yeah, Sparky says, to my comment about flying over people, you can, but you must coordinate with the organizers and security. Basically, you can't just show up and fly. And I agree with Greg. I still won't fly over a large crowd. And there is really no need. And I agree with that. I don't think there is a need. I think the few clips that you see of people that are flying very low, close to people at a concert, for example, I think you can get that effect completely differently by flying not over people. That's just a personal opinion. And, you know, yeah. If I get the Holy Stone remote ID coming to me, can I use a remote ID as a recreational pilot for extra safety, or do I have to be Part 107 pilot? So, little confusion. Remote ID is the technology that broadcasts your location, and that is a requirement if the drone is over 250 grams recreationally. So it's not really for extra safety. Some would argue it's the opposite, but I'm not going to get there. But you can fly a drone recreationally that's over 250 grams as long as you have remote ID. So it's not like, can I get it? It's like you have to get it if the drone is over 250 grams. If it's less than 250 grams, you don't need to have remote ID if you fly recreationally. And then I wouldn't add it if you don't need it. Just Johnny says, I'm probably 2 miles, maybe a little more from an airport with the National Guard installation with a group of F-35s and curious about the mapping. Take a look at aloft air control and see if you are in an area that requires authorization. If it's a military base, it likely does not have LANs, although there are exceptions. If that's the case and you need to fly there and it requires authorization, you'll have to do it through the FAA Drone Zone. We actually have a video on that as well that we posted about a week ago on the channel. So it's called How to Fly Near Airports. I highly recommend that you go watch it. It's the most up-to-date video that you can find. Sorry, I had a brain fart. I read another comment. Did they change the pound of impact on Cat 2 versus Cat 3? I saw something that said Cat 2 is 25 pounds of pressure, and I thought it was for Cat 3. They have not changed it since whenever it was changed a few years ago. So whenever that regulation was introduced. So no, that has not changed since then. And 25 is for Cat 3. Is there a benefit of something to work towards when building credits on FAA Fast Team as a drone pilot? At the moment, no. That might change in the future, but for right now, the wings credit, as we call them, are for airplane pilots. You get to collect them for right now until the FAA has a program, and then you'll be able to use them. That's all I can say. Say you have Lollapalooza and you want to fly that crowd. Can you even do that? I know Greg is talking about that now. I think I read Sparky's comment maybe as a reply to this, which is you definitely have to talk to organizers and security. You're going to be on private property more than likely when you take off and land. So I would not go fly with a Cat 1 over that without talking to anyone first. That's how you get the bands to be escorted off stage, like we saw with the Green Day concert a couple months ago. But yeah, I definitely would not do that without any prior coordination. Ken says, if there is no ban on DJI, what are they saying is the reason for stopping their drone in custom? I just got a refund from my Mini 4 Pro because custom stopped it. Custom is claiming that the DJI drones are being made using child labor in China, and as a result, they have the ability to stop the import of these drones. Now, obviously, it's a claim, and DJI has responded by saying that none of their production is made by either minority population or by children, and as such, this should not apply. But obviously, somebody at CBP higher up is blocking these drones. Does that apply to any other gadgets that are coming from China that are probably made in far worse conditions, including American products that are made in China under far worse conditions? No, it doesn't. It only applies to DJI. So that should tell you something about how DJI is being targeted right now by some of these lawmakers that are behind this that we will hopefully soon uncover. Anthony says, seems like way too much risk, but can their security and organizer deny you if you fly under Part 107? I mean, they can't deny you flying over, but do you want to be responsible for, like I said, a Green Day event where they have to take the people away? And I mean, they could probably sue you for something unrelated to flying the drone and creating havoc at the concert. I'm going to say it again. I would not fly at a concert without talking to someone first, even if you can legally do it under Part 107. Remember that they more than likely control the land that you might be taking off and landing on. I'll dig it says, let's see. I went to fly my drone today and had restricted flights because I was somehow logged out of my account. Is this normal to be logged out? And this has never happened before. I don't know if that has to do with the new update. It could be, but no, I've never actually seen that. Green Covenant Films says, when you register a drone with the FAA, will the number you receive stay the same? Depends. If you're registering recreationally, you register once and then you use that number again and again. And then on the recreational side, there's an inventory where you're going to add all of your drones. If you register under Part 107, then every new drone has a different registration number. Brad says, are there FAA restrictions to fly over people at a concert that is open air but covered like a tent? If it's a tent, the FAA doesn't have jurisdiction. Your insurance company is going to want to know about that. But other than that, no. What price range would the $1 million to $5 million of insurance cost? Depends if you're flying over people. I hear that some insurance companies don't even want to insure people to fly over people. So there's that. If that's the case, if you can't find someone to fly over people to insure you, then you're taking full liability. Think about it twice. That's all I have to say, because if something happens, it's your butt on the line. I live near Signal, Arizona. I don't know where Signal, Arizona is. Directly under MTR 145, low-flying F-16 and F-35s out of Luke, and have a place in Prescott. Thank you so much for educating me and the free stickers. You're very welcome, Scott. That's awesome. Flying high. Can I take off outside of a national park but fly over it? You can. Should you? I'm going to let you decide on that. But because you can doesn't mean you should. I know some people disagree with that. I believe in keeping our national park quiet and not flying over national parks with drones, but that's my personal opinion. But yes, technically you can, as long as you follow all the rules. Keep in mind that if you harass wildlife, or if a ranger decides that you might be harassing wildlife, they can still get you in trouble. So one exception, Grand Canyon National Park has an airspace restriction, so you cannot fly over the Grand Canyon National Park. Does showing you drone videos on YouTube require Part 107? No, the fact of just sharing you videos on YouTube does not require Part 107. Monetizing your channel would, or creating videos or flying your drone for the purpose of recording footage for your Part 107. Let me rephrase that. It's all about the intent of the flight. If the intent of the flight is recreational purposes, then it does not require Part 107. I'm going to say it that way. Eric says, I am near an Air Force base with flight restrictions Monday through Friday, day and night. Does that mean that I can fly on the weekend, or would it be a no-fly zone all the time? So you have to go and look at the, Eric, you have to go and look, I don't know if you're Part 107 or not, but you have to go look at the FA document that's called, what am I having? A chart supplement. I'm sorry. It's called a chart supplement. You have to find the Air Force base in the chart supplement and see what it says about airspace. What does the airspace turn into outside of the days when the airspace is active? And depending on that, then it's going to give you your answer. I just crashed my drone, resulting in it falling into the edge of a lake. That sucks. I have DJI Care refresh. Will my replacement be held up in customs? Don't know the answer to that. Possibly. Possibly. If you shoot a house, I'm guessing video shooting, that's in a no-flight zone for a realtor, are they liable for a fine as well, just like if you are unlicensed? No, I mean, that's a stretch. I have read somewhere that technically the FAA can go to the people that caused the flight. So if a realtor hired an unlicensed pilot, for example, they could go after the realtor. But I think that would be a stretch. I think that would be a stretch. Is Skywatch drone insurance legit? Yeah, they've been around for a while. Can I get a replacement Part 107 card from the FAA? Yes. If you type replacement pilot certificate FAA in Google, it will give you a link to a .gov page where you can request a replacement. I think the price doubled recently. It used to be $1. I think it's $2 now. So yeah, it doubled. 100% increase in price. Thanks, FAA. But yeah, you can basically do that, and they'll send you a new card. Guns and Glory Show says there's an easement for electrical power line on my property. Helicopter inspect those power lines regularly. No restriction in my area. The helicopter fly about 100 feet AGL. What should I do? Stay away. Helicopters have right of way over drones, so stay away from helicopters. Don't get in their way. That's all I can say. Whew. It's 4:58 here. Have to go to Home Depot. So we're going to end it. Vic makes a good point. The new card will have the replacement date, not the original test date. Correct. And you still have to use the last time you took a test as the time when you need to renew 24 calendar months later. Okay. All right, folks. Well, this is all we have. We'll be back on Friday morning for news update. We will be here on Friday night in the community for our regular happy hour where we talk about cool stuff that happened during the week. And then otherwise, we'll be back here next Monday for more Q&A. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Just kidding. And
Post-flight's live.
Post-flight is live. Go to the paid community to take a look. That's it. Peace.